Kena Bridge of Spirits was first shown during the PlayStation 5 reveal and instantly piqued people's interests. Its lush visual style and animation instantly capturing people's attention, and also because these little rot things that everyone who saw them like,
"Oh, you are so cute, I love your cute little smile."
The game's development was led by brothers Mike and Josh Greer, founders of Ember Labs. Now, Ember Labs have never done a video game before, which makes this game all the more impressive. Now, that isn't something you can give them extra marks for. At the end of the day, it has to be reviewed fairly compared to all other games, but still, can't help but just be a bit impressed. They partnered with Sony Interactive for a console exclusive deal, but this game is also available on the Epic Store as an Epic Store exclusive, and it was actually made by only 15 core employees in conjunction with a Vietnamese animation studio who have worked on a bunch of other titles in animation roles. Can Kena bridge the gap between video game and Pixar movie, or is it a bridge too far? Or should I just stop with the puns?
The weather is clear and bright, no chance of showers, if you'll pardon the pun.
Well, let's find out by getting lost in the spirit world of Kena Bridge of Spirits.
You have to go now.
The animation credentials of the studio are really on show here. The forest world is lush, Kena moves elegantly, the rots are stupendously cute, and you kind of fall in love with their quirky little animations from the first minute, their facial expressions, the way they just do these cute little random things when you're walking around the map. Look, he's sunbathing. There's a real movie-like Pixar quality to the whole feel of the game. It was disappointing to find the cutscenes in a jarring 30 FPS, especially if you're playing in the 60 FPS mode, and every time you get a cutscene, though they were incredible, the 30 FPS just made you like, oh my god, ew! Onto the music, and well, it's just amazing. Sounding like it was crafted from the hands of Finnish legends Sigur Rós themselves. The music makes the hair stand on the back of your necks, especially during the story scenes. It's tear-jerkingly moving, adding a raw emotion to the incredible story, something I will touch on later. I wasn't overly won over by the general enemy design for large parts. I mean, I felt like it was a touch bland, a touch by the book. Later on in the game, the enemies do become better, and the counter-argument to this negative on the enemy design is just how overwhelmingly bloody fantastic the bosses are. Boasting brilliant music, great animations, brilliant movesets, and a fantastic visual spectacle, I'll forgive them for a rather generic fodder enemy list when the bosses are just so memorable. Also, whoever on the design team decided to make the music stop in the Adria fight and then restart just as she hit her hammer on the village heart to restart it again. Genius. Bravo. Just check this out. Kena is a spirit guide whose job it is to release spirits stuck in this world so they can move on to the next. That theme, the one of freeing people to move on from this world to the next plane, is done with enough weight and delicacy to make it something that you buy into really quickly. Kena is a story about spirits that haven't left this world because they have unresolved emotional ties to this plane and become corrupted in the process due to their emotions corrupting them. The themes of the story are set early on when you meet two young children who ask you to save their brother. What they don't realise is that their brother is no longer with the living, and Kena's job is to deliver their brother's spirit to the next world and not to save him. The tales of sadness that leave spirits in this realm are told beautifully, invoking real emotional responses from the player. Wow, man. Absolutely stunning. I don't know what else you can say about that whole 5 minutes. That was absolutely wonderful. This ties in with the above mentioned music to create a melancholic, beautiful meditation on moving from this life onto whatever you believe exists next. Whatever your thoughts on people who are no longer with us, Kenna's message is stunning at all the right times. A game ultimately about letting go, about tackling grief and not letting it consume you, a story about what grief can do to a person and the pitfalls that involves. Kenna doesn't have any revolutionary or groundbreaking new gameplay features, but let me tell you this, it sure as hell made me feel things in a game that rarely happens anymore. True, unadulterated, raw emotion.
Draw on its power.
A lot has been made about how Kenna doesn't really do anything original, but then again I have to ask you, how many games generally do? Not every video game has to be groundbreaking. I mean, last time I checked, Deathloop was getting 10 out of 10 for making you walk through a map, collect a note and walk back out again. So how can we criticize a game that delivers such emotional weight with its narrative and story delivery while providing a solid, enjoyable combat and exploration experience?
Man, you yourself, shut up.
I did feel the combat lacked a certain weight on the feedback. All the bosses were great, the last few bosses invoking some of From Software's tougher challenges but without the punishing checkpoint issues. On the bosses, there's something unique here. You feel a real sympathy for them, a completely unique emotion often when fighting bosses. You feel the urge to free them from their pain. You understand the reason for their resentment and why they have turned out the way they have. This is definitely the driving force because trust me, after you discover the first boss and his story, you most definitely want to hear the others. There are some Metroidvania-esque elements here. You can go back and explore previous areas once you've unlocked a few new skills. The game is tough and it's definitely a motivation to go back and pick up a few extra upgrades. The world is just so beautiful and these Pikmin things are so cute.
Oh, you are so cute. I love your cute little smiles.
That it just never felt like a chore. The find three things and move forward kind of concept on every area is a bit tropey. I mean, it's a bit standard by the book. The way the stories of the people is intertwined into those three emotions is definitely not by the book and makes it feel totally part of the journey. Fear, love and regret being three key emotions tying each spirit and person to this world. There's some minor quality of life issues that I do need to flag up because they did bug me a bit. The map not being on the UI, I understand the artistic direction for not having the map on the UI, but what actually ends up happening, it just breaks the immersion because you end up just hitting the middle button on the PlayStation joypad and just end up going to the map anyway. So I really felt that broke the immersive experience more so than a map being on the screen would have. And that's a decision they've made, fine, you know, they've gone with it. For me, it doesn't quite work. The camera is good, borderline good, but can be really wonky at times, especially in combat in the smaller, tighter areas. It has an annoying snapshot mechanic, which some cameras seem to do, which is when you kind of turn the camera, it'll kind of lock onto an enemy it wants to, even if you're already locked onto an enemy. It does rear its head at times, and it can get frustrating, especially in the tougher fights. The rot dragon, where you kind of collect a teardrop and it converts the rot into their partial full form. The controls on that are really wonky as well. You're kind of controlling two cameras at once. Luckily, you don't need to use it in combat often. You do need to use it sometimes, but not often. And generally, it's puzzle solving, so it's not too bad, but it is a bit wonky and it does kind of, again, break kind of that real immersion you get in the game. The game weighs in at about 10 hours, which by the way for $30, which is how much this game is, and the just general quality of the game is sensational value, especially when it's just so rich and full of life. Kenna is a game that delivers a stunning story and narrative to a background of incredible beauty and visuals with a tough challenge to test even hardened gamers. Yes, it borrows a lot from Zelda, Dark Souls, Pikmin, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, but it sure as hell repackages it in the most delightful journey. With each story drawing real emotion from the player, all backed by a soundtrack that Sigur Rós would have been proud of, the game delivers on all key levels a video game should. At $30, you just cannot go wrong with investing in Kenna Bridge of Spirits. It's nothing groundbreaking, it's nothing revolutionary, but it is genuinely a beautiful game. Yes, there's small niggles with cameras, and yes, the gameplay is nothing new, but honestly, when a game makes you feel things like this, who fucking cares? Just play the game and enjoy the ride. Kenna Bridge of Spirits gets a light to decent 8 from me. I hope you all go out and buy it and support this new developer at the start of their journey. what a great start it is. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit us a like, a comment, share the review, get other people to buy the game. They deserve your time and money. Peace out, take care, and we are moving on to whatever game comes next. I think it's Far Cry 6, and in the middle, I'm going to try to find something else to review. Thank you, and goodbye.